Shalom, I'm Resistance the Spellbreaker. I'm coming on here today to give you guys a little backstory about who I am, and what's brought me to this point and why I'm making this video. When I was between the ages of 3 and 6 years old, I, like all children, asked that big question: what is death? I was taken to my great grandmother's house, and she was to explain this to me. And she told me about the God of Israel, his angels, and Jesus Christ. Which I'm not ashamed of. I'm still a believer today. I'm wearing the mask because of totally different reasons, which I'll go over in another video. Okay? So she tells me about the God of Israel, his angels, and Jesus Christ. I then go in the backyard and play, and have imaginary friends in the sky at that point. The imaginary friends in the sky tell me that they are going to help me, but not for a very long time. And I remember that. And I believe that, you could excuse this as just being the imagination of a child if you'd like to, but the fact that I still believe, or I still remember this, and it's been such a long time. I'm between the ages of 30 and 40 years old. So I still specifically remember the imaginary friends saying this to me, who more specifically, I believe was the God of Israel that actually said this. But anyway, so moving on, as a child, I have another dream around the ages of 8, 7 to 9, somewhere right in there, and I'm on a path. I'm in a cloud with my imaginary friends again, and I'm looking down at myself, and I'm on a path, and I can either go one way to evil, or I can go one way to good. And they told me, we would like you to go this way, but you're going to go to evil. And I remember going, no, no, no. And, they were right. As a young person, I got into drugs, hookers, crack, pipe bombs, and stolen cars, and all kinds of bad things. So they were right. So anyway, rewind back. I'm in school, and I can tell something's wrong with the world. I'm like the only kid in the class that doesn't want to sit there and do paperwork for 7, 8 hours a day. Everyone else seems to be just fine with this. I wasn't. So much so that I would be put in bad kid schools and bad kid programs and all kinds of things like that. Then I run into some older kids who use drugs, and they would talk about conspiracy theories. And they were telling me about the Bohemian Grove, or something along the lines of our politicians and stuff sacrificing children. And I remember thinking these guys were freaking whack jobs. There's no way that the world works that way. So I had another friend whose father had a pyrotechnics license. So we blew a lot of things up. Between the pyrotechnics license, the 4th of July, and then just building, taking old fireworks and tearing them apart and building little bombs and stuff, I had a very, very well-rounded understanding of explosives by the age of 15 years old. I mean, I was pretty much obsessed with them. This is back in the good old days when you could get away with that, okay? So I'm in class a couple of years. I'm around 15 years old. I'm sitting in class, and they wheel in the television set, and they show us the Twin Towers, and they show us this little tiny plane. We're watching this in real time, mind you, and a little tiny plane hits this giant building, and the building just goes poof. And I knew right then that the conspiracies that those older kids had spoke of must have some truth to them, because I knew that that plane couldn't do that to that tower, even at that young of an age, even in my preteens to teenage years. Okay, I knew that that plane couldn't do that. So now I'm a full blown believer that the conspiracy theories are real, at least some of them. So I go down to Tucson, Arizona, and a friend of mine's father had actually been to military prison, and he had been in there with some whistleblowers for UFOs. And some of the guys, they were telling him all about conspiracies, what our government was doing and stuff. And he was a man that you'd have to respect. When you met him, you couldn't not respect him. So when he said that same crazy shit that my drugged out teenager friends had said, now I really believed it, okay? And he, because I was hip to the fact somewhat, he took me under his wing somewhat, and pointed me in the right direction in the conspiratorial aspect of things, what type of literature I should be reading, what type of literature I shouldn't be reading, and things like that. He was a real help to me in bringing me furthering my knowledge in the conspiratorial aspect of things, okay? So, fast forward a little bit more time. I start reading the Bible. Little off topic. All those drugs I got into, 15-year heroin addiction, things like this. I read a chapter and verse, and I break down and cry, and he took the spirit of addiction off of me. Hallelujah. No AA, no NA, no methadone clinic, no nothing. Okay, just cold turkey, flat out. The Bible healed me of a 15-year heroin addiction, crack addiction, meth addiction, cocaine, whatever the hell I could get my nasty little hands on. Okay, I was cured. Okay, a couple days later, I say, take the cigarettes from me. I wake up the next morning with a chest cold. I could barely breathe. Okay, I thought to myself, I know what you're doing. So I'm to the understanding at this point that the God of Israel is real. My imaginary friends that I had as a child were not imaginary. So things are starting to come together, and then you got the conspiratorial aspect of things that I have been researching all these years. Now I'm picking the Bible up, and everything that the Bible's saying and the conspiracy theories I've researched go click, 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 and everything goes perfectly into place. And there's nothing I can do about it. So before, I would read about these conspiracy theories or watch YouTube videos on them, and it would just be like the most depressing thing in the world for me. And it's horrible what children have to go through in these rituals and things like this. But when you read the Bible and you realize that Israel is in their final captivity, he dispersed his people into the four corners of the world to serve their enemies. So these enemies, okay, today, these Israelites are still in captivity, okay? They're serving their enemies. Their enemies had other gods. Their enemies sacrificed their children to Baal or Baal, okay? So when you realize that who their enemies are and who their enemies' gods are, that their enemies' gods, where all these other gods come from, is that they're Lucifer and his fallen angels, okay? So when you hear about other cultures and religions, and they got these strange 10-armed creatures and things like this, these are all fallen angels, okay, as all other gods, okay? There's only one God, okay? Yahweh, Yahweh, Jehovah, Yehoda, whatever you want to call him, that is the only one creator of the universe, and all other gods are his fallen creation, okay? I just pissed a lot of people off saying that. But anyway, so as I took my conspiracy knowledge and then I would read the Bible, and I would see that everything that he says has to happen. Otherwise, it makes him a liar, and he's not a liar. So then when I would hear about these people, I'm not rejoicing in the fact that they sacrifice children. I think that's horrible, okay? I'm not rejoicing in the fact that they sex traffic children. I'm not rejoicing in the fact that they torture animals to death, okay? I'm not rejoicing in the fact that they poison us or do any of the things that they do. But when I see them doing it, and I read in this book that they're gonna do it, now I know my Bible is true. Now I know that Jesus Christ is real. You see what I'm saying? So the world and whatever they put on that mind control box can say and do whatever it wants to. Because no matter how horrible this world gets, let that be reassurance to you that the Bible is real. And you can always turn to that Bible. And you can always turn to Jesus Christ. And that's basically the moral of the video. I hope that the video has been helpful to you. I hope that it's brought you further in knowledge and in faith of our Master and soon coming King. Shalom and peace be with you.